really determined to do something where I would be actually just having fun. That's what I kept thinking to myself.
Simon Cowell, known for his sharp tongue and no-nonsense approach in the entertainment world, has long been the face of tough love on shows like American Idol and The X Factor. His career, defined by a relentless drive for success, often overshadowed any glimpse into his personal life. However, behind the critic's mask lies a side of Simon few have seen, a father's love. In this video, we dive into the surprising journey of Simon's emotional transformation, exploring how a scandal and a personal tragedy led to a profound shift in his life, turning him into the devoted father he is today. The scandal that rocked Simon's life. Simon Cowell had always made it clear that starting a family was not part of his plan. For years, he had made no secret of his desire to remain childless, often saying that having a family would interfere with his career and lifestyle. In interviews and on his reality shows, Simon joked about how being a father was not something that fit into his meticulously crafted life. He had always preferred the freedom that came with his bachelor lifestyle, pouring all of his time and energy into his career. But in 2013, Simon's life took a dramatic turn when news broke that he was expecting a child with Lauren Silverman, the wife of his close friend, Andrew Silverman. The announcement sent shockwaves through the media and shocked the public, not just because of the pregnancy, but because of the betrayal it implied. Cowell, who had long been regarded as a shrewd businessman and reality TV mogul, was now at the centre of a scandal that involved his best friend's wife. It was a betrayal that many felt was a breach of trust, both in his friendship with Andrew and his own public persona. The fallout from this scandal was intense. Simon, who had always been known for his confident and often brash demeanour, found himself under intense scrutiny. His friendship with Andrew Silverman was strained, and the media pounced on every aspect of his personal life, scrutinising the relationship between Simon and Lauren. Despite the negative attention and criticism, Simon remained relatively calm, focusing on the upcoming arrival of his son. He even took to social media to celebrate the pregnancy and later the birth of his son, showing a vulnerability that was rare for him. The birth of Eric Cowell. A life-changing moment. On February 14, 2014, Simon's world changed forever. His son, Eric Philip Cowell, was born. The birth of Eric marked a pivotal moment in Simon's life, a moment that would forever alter his perspective on love, family, and the meaning of success. The tough and business-minded Simon that the world had come to know was suddenly replaced with a more sensitive and introspective version of himself. For the first time, he experienced the emotional depth and joy that came with fatherhood. The birth of Eric also brought back painful memories for Simon, specifically the death of his father, Eric Philip Cowell Sr., who had passed away from a heart attack in 1999. As Simon held his newborn son for the first time, he was struck by the realization that he was now a father in the same way his own father had once been. The experience stirred deep emotions within Simon, reminding him of the love he had lost and the legacy he hoped to build. It was as if Eric's arrival had bridged the gap between past and present, reconnecting Simon with the values of love and family that had always been important but often overshadowed by his work. Shifting priorities. How fatherhood changed. Simon. Before becoming a father, Simon Cowell had been a notorious workaholic. His schedule was grueling, and he often worked long hours, sometimes pushing his health and personal life to the brink. He had built an empire in the entertainment world, and his commitment to his career was unparalleled. Simon was known for his ruthless work ethic, often staying up late to review contestants' performances, and his focus on expanding his business empire was second to none. His dedication to his career, while impressive, often left little room for anything else. However, Eric's birth brought a new sense of purpose to Simon's life. Holding his son in his arms for the first time made him rethink his priorities. It was as though Eric's arrival helped Simon rediscover a part of himself that had been buried under years of work and personal struggles. For the first time, Simon realised that there was more to life than just career success. He found joy in the simple moments of fatherhood, feeding his son, playing with him, and reading bedtime stories. These moments of connection with Eric became a welcome escape from the pressures of his career. Simon began to change his habits. He reduced his workload, made time for his family, and began focusing on his health. The tough, cynical exterior that had made him a household name in the entertainment world softened as he embraced his role as a father. He even took to social media to share moments of joy with his son, posting photos of their time together. For Simon, Eric had become more than just a child. He was a symbol of hope, renewal, and a reminder that life was about more than just professional achievement. Coping with loss. The death of his mother. While Eric's birth was a turning point in Simon's life, it was not the only event that would shape his emotional journey. In 2015, Simon faced another heartbreaking loss, the death of his mother, Julie Brett, who had been his emotional anchor and support system throughout his life. Julie had been the one constant figure in Simon's life, offering guidance and love after the death of Simon's father. She had helped him navigate the difficult years and had been his rock in times of uncertainty. Her passing left Simon devastated. He had always been close to his mother, and losing her left an immense void in his life. Her death, combined with the pressures of his career, pushed Simon to the brink of emotional collapse. He struggled with grief, turning to work as a way to escape the overwhelming sadness he felt. But despite his outward success, Simon found it difficult to find meaning in his work. It no longer brought him the satisfaction it once had, and he began to feel increasingly isolated. It was during this difficult time that Eric's presence became a lifeline for Simon. While Simon had once been consumed by work, he now found solace in spending time with his son. Eric's laughter and innocence provided a much-needed distraction from the pain of loss. Slowly but surely, Simon began to heal. Eric gave him a new sense of purpose and a reason to keep going. Through the eyes of his son, Simon was able to reconnect with the world around him and find joy in the present moment. A new perspective on life. How fatherhood helped Simon heal. As Simon embraced his new role as a father, he found himself rethinking his approach to life. He realized that while grief and loss were inevitable parts of life, they didn't have to define him. Eric's love and presence helped Simon move forward, even as he continued to mourn the loss of his mother. Simon began to understand that being a parent meant not only providing for his son, but also taking care of himself. He started making healthier lifestyle choices, prioritizing self-care, and finding balance in his life. In interviews, Simon has spoken about how fatherhood has changed him. He describes how Eric's arrival made him more patient, more loving, and more aware of the fragility of life. He no longer felt the need to bury his emotions under a mountain of work. Instead, he learned to embrace his feelings, face his grief, and focus on the things that truly mattered. Eric had given him a sense of perspective that he had never had before. Tragedy strikes. Again, Simon's near-death experience. Just when things seemed to be improving for Simon, tragedy struck again. In 2020, Simon suffered a serious accident while riding an electric bike at his home in Malibu. He broke his back in several places and was forced to undergo multiple surgeries. The incident left Simon temporarily paralysed, and he faced a long and painful recovery. This near-death experience was a wake-up call for Simon. It forced him to slow down, re-evaluate his life, and rethink his priorities. The accident made Simon realise how fragile life really is. It reminded him that nothing in life is guaranteed, and that family, health, and happiness should always come first. As he recovered, Simon began to focus even more on his role as a father. He spent more time with Eric, enjoying the moments that mattered most. The accident also gave him a renewed sense of gratitude for the people in his life, especially his son. The terrifying accident, a life-altering moment. In August 2020, Simon Cowell's life took a dramatic turn when he suffered a serious accident that nearly claimed his life. The incident occurred at his home in Malibu, California, while Simon was testing out a new electric bike. A routine activity quickly turned into a terrifying ordeal when he lost control of the bike and fell, breaking his back in several places. The injuries were so severe that they nearly paralyzed him and left him in excruciating pain. In the blink of an eye, Simon's life was thrown into chaos, and what had once seemed like an ordinary day turned into a moment of extreme vulnerability. For Simon, a man known for his unshakable confidence and authority in the entertainment industry, this accident was a humbling experience. The pain was unbearable, and the reality of his injury set in immediately. The prognosis was uncertain, and Simon's doctors warned that his recovery would be long and challenging, requiring multiple surgeries and extensive physical therapy. As a result, Simon would be forced to take a break from his career and focus on healing, a prospect that was difficult for a man whose life had been defined by constant work and success. The physical toll of the accident was only part of the story. The emotional and psychological impact would also leave a lasting mark. Simon was not accustomed to being dependent on others, but in the weeks and months following the injury, he found himself needing support in ways he never had before. This was when the true test of his relationships began. Lauren Silverman, a rock through the storm. During Simon's recovery, one person played an instrumental role in his healing process: his partner, Lauren Silverman. Lauren, who had been by Simon's side through both the highs and lows of their relationship, became his unwavering support through this traumatic time. The couple, who shared a son together, Eric, had already weathered their fair share of public scrutiny, particularly due to the scandal surrounding their relationship in the early years. But this accident would test their bond in ways that neither could have anticipated. As Simon lay in the hospital bed, recovering from multiple surgeries, Lauren remained a constant source of strength. She became Simon's emotional anchor, offering comfort and support as he dealt with both the physical pain and the mental challenges of recovery. Her commitment to him during this trying time was a powerful testament to the strength of their relationship. Not only did Lauren provide physical assistance during Simon's rehabilitation, but she also offered him the emotional resilience he needed to push through the pain and uncertainty. Simon's vulnerability during this period forced him to acknowledge just how much he depended on Lauren, not only as a partner in raising their son Eric, but as someone who was capable of offering him the unconditional support he had not always been able to provide himself. This experience brought them closer, helping Simon realize that love and partnership were far more meaningful than the fleeting pleasures of fame and career. Through Lauren's support, Simon learned the true meaning of loyalty and devotion, something that had always eluded him in the past, as he had prioritized his work above all else. Reflection and reassessment. A wake-up call for Simon. As Simon underwent months of physical therapy and rehabilitation, he had plenty of time to reflect on his life and the decisions that had led him to this point. For years, Simon had been known for his ceaseless drive for success, often placing work at the center of his world. His professional achievements had been impressive. He was the mastermind behind some of the biggest entertainment franchises in the world, and his influence in the music industry was undeniable. However, as he lay recovering in a hospital bed, Simon was forced to confront the emptiness that had accompanied his relentless pursuit of career success. The accident served as a harsh reminder of just how fragile life really is. It made Simon realize that no matter how successful he was, he had neglected the very things that gave life its true meaning: family, health, and relationships. He had been so focused on his professional ambitions that he had failed to cultivate deeper connections with the people who truly mattered. The realization hit him hard. His son Eric and his partner Lauren were the ones who had been there for him through thick and thin. Yet, he had allowed his career to take precedence over them for too long. The near-death experience forced Simon to reassess his priorities. As he thought about what could have been lost in the blink of an eye, Simon began to understand that no amount of fame or fortune could replace the joy of being present in his son's life, or the value of nurturing a committed and loving relationship with Lauren. The possibility of losing it all made him more determined than ever to find a healthier balance between his career and personal life. This was a turning point for Simon, as he decided to slow down and prioritize his health and happiness over his professional pursuits. The psychological impact. Coping with grief and fear. While Simon's physical recovery was a challenge, the emotional and psychological toll of the accident was equally significant. The trauma of the near-death experience left Simon grappling with feelings of fear, vulnerability, and grief. It was a reminder that no matter how invincible one may feel in the face of success, life is unpredictable and fleeting. Simon found himself reflecting on his past losses, particularly the deaths of his mother, Julie Brett, and his father, Eric Cowell Sr., both of whom had played pivotal roles in shaping his life. Their passing had left Simon with a deep sense of grief that he had not fully processed. The accident reawakened that grief and forced Simon to confront the reality of his mortality. As he lay in his hospital bed, he thought about how much he still carried the pain of losing his parents, particularly his mother, who had been his emotional pillar. Her death in 2015 had left Simon feeling lost and directionless, and although Eric's birth had given him a renewed sense of purpose, the accident brought back a flood of painful memories. The fear of losing everything, including his health and his loved ones, weighed heavily on Simon's mind. In a way, the accident became a catalyst for Simon to process and confront these unresolved emotions. It reminded him of the importance of cherishing each day and the relationships that gave his life meaning. He realized that his work could not fill the emotional void created by loss, and that it was only through healing his emotional wounds and prioritizing his family that he could truly move forward. Liam Payne's tragic death. Another heartbreaking loss. Just as Simon was beginning to recover from his accident and adjust his life, another heartbreaking event occurred that deepened his sense of loss and grief. In October 2024, Simon was devastated to hear the news of Liam Payne's tragic death. Liam, a former member of the internationally successful boy band One Direction, passed away after a fall from a hotel balcony in Buenos Aires. The sudden and tragic nature of his death sent shockwaves through the music industry and left Simon grappling with yet another painful loss. Simon had been a mentor to Liam and the other members of One Direction, having formed the group during their time on The X Factor in 2010. Under Simon's guidance, One Direction became a global sensation, and the band's success was a testament to Simon's ability to spot and nurture talent. He had formed close relationships with all of the members, including Liam, and the news of Liam's death hit him particularly hard. Simon expressed his deep sorrow over Liam's passing, reflecting on the boy band's journey and how Liam had touched the lives of millions of fans around the world. Liam's death was a painful reminder of the fragility of life, and Simon found himself mourning not only the loss of a young man with immense potential, but also the loss of someone who had played a pivotal role in one of Simon's greatest successes. The tragedy stirred up memories of Simon's own grief, including the loss of his parents and the toll it had taken on him. It was another harsh reminder that life is precious and that time, once lost, can never be regained. A new understanding of life's fragility. Simon Cowell's life has been shaped by both extraordinary success and profound loss. His near-death experience, followed by the tragic death of Liam Payne, has forced Simon to confront the reality of life's fragility and the importance of cherishing the relationships that matter most. These events have profoundly changed him, reshaping his perspective on what truly matters. Through the support of his partner Lauren and the love of his son Eric, Simon has learned to prioritize his health and happiness, putting family and well-being above the relentless pursuit of success. While his career remains an important part of his life, Simon now understands that true fulfillment lies in the love and connection he shares with those closest to him. As he continues his journey, Simon's experiences serve as a poignant reminder of the importance of living with intention, cherishing each moment, and never taking anything for granted.